Hey guys, let's do a pregnancy bump update. So I am now, get this fucking baby out of me, weeks along. The baby is the size of a fucking whale and what sounds like at least 5 painful stitches. My main symptom is
Girl, I can't make this up. She was just hours away from one of life's biggest blessings. The photos were taken, the family was ready, and the countdown had already begun. But what nobody knew was that someone else had a countdown of their own, a plan set in motion long before that day arrived. And when it unfolded, it shattered 2 lives before one could even begin. But why would someone destroy the very future they helped create? Before we get too deep, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you find value in these discussions. India Kenmore was born May 12, 19. She grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, surrounded by family and friends who described her as someone who brought warmth to every room she entered. By the time she turned 20, India welcomed her first son, Zai, on April 13th. Now listen, becoming a mother at such a young age came with its challenges, but India, she embraced it wholeheartedly. In one of her posts, she reflected on that moment. She admitted she'd been scared when she first found out she was pregnant. She thought she was supposed to finish school first, be married, be financially stable before becoming a mom. But despite her fears, she said God had other plans for them, and she accepted motherhood with everything she had. Girl, India poured herself into raising Zai. Every decision she made centered around him. Friends and family watched as she balanced work, responsibilities, and still found time to be the kind of mother who never let her son feel anything less than completely loved.
Bruh, get out of me.
How are you gonna help you?
Move on.
How are you gonna get me up for you? Okay.
She often posted about him, sharing little moments, funny videos, just everyday life. She wanted him to grow up knowing he could accomplish anything and wanted to be the kind of mother her children would be proud of. Outside of motherhood, India loved enjoying life. She had nights out with friends, loved cooking, had a passion for good food and good company. She was close to her family, especially her parents and siblings. The bond they shared was more like best friends than just relatives. That's the kind of connection they had. In 2022, India discovered she was pregnant again. This time, the father was a man named Kayvon Warren. Now, Kayvon was 30 years old, also from Cincinnati. He appeared to be a solid, responsible man. He worked at Bosch Automotive, had side hustles hosting sip and paint events for adults and children. He was already a father to 2 children from a previous relationship, and he was hands-on with his kids, showing up for birthdays, celebrating milestones, doing what a father should do, right? Raised mostly by his mother and grandmother, Kayvon often spoke about how much he respected strong women and how grateful he was for the lessons they taught him. He seemed dependable and admirable, the kind of man you'd want around your daughter. So when India became pregnant with his child, there wasn't much reason to think anything would go wrong. At first, India herself wasn't sure about having another child. In August 2022, she posted, "I woke up this morning in my feelings. If you would have asked me a year ago, or maybe even a couple months ago, if I wanted another kid, my answer was no, until TMH had other plans for me. But listen, as the pregnancy progressed, India began to embrace it with open arms. She started documenting her journey on social media, talking about the ups and downs, the cravings, the discomfort, but most of all, the joy of knowing she was about to meet her baby boy. Kayvon, on the other hand, was less enthusiastic. At one point, he reportedly made remarks about getting a vasectomy as quickly as possible, a statement that made it clear he was not excited about another child. But hey, to others, everything looked fine, and India's life seemed picture perfect. Her maternity photo shoot with Kayvon showed him smiling for the camera, projecting the image of a supportive father-to-be with smiles that looked genuine. What no one realized at the time was that those photos were just a performance for Kayvon, a whole act. While India was posting about her excitement, sharing her joy with the world, Kayvon was reportedly dealing with his own pressures. Financial troubles were mounting, his home was facing foreclosure, and he was juggling relationships with 2 different baby mamas. And the pregnancy, it was getting in the way of what he really wanted. According to reports, Kayvon had been trying to rekindle a relationship with an ex-girlfriend. He wanted to move forward with her, not with India. And a new baby, he thought that would complicate everything. He allegedly pressured India multiple times, but she refused. She wanted this. She'd already named him Kyron, was preparing the nursery and buying clothes. But Kayvon, girl, he had already made his own plans.
Hello.
Man, I think me and you need some space, man.
Space? What you mean, like space or space?
Space as in separate.
Okay, well, you can go in the living room and I go in the other room. What you talk about?
I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about seeing other people. Like, meet other people.
Okay, then you want to meet other people?
Yup.
You want to meet other people?
Yup.
Okay, I tell you what then. You can meet God, and I'm going to go meet the judge. Them the only doggone people you going to meet. Stop here with me. You with me until you die, okay?
In early 2023, India's post reflected pure anticipation. On February 6th, she shared photos from her baby shower and wrote the caption, "I hope my sons know mommy got them forever. I just want my sons to have matching everything. They will be so tired of me." Look at that, a mother excited about her boys, planning their future, making sure they know they're loved. On February 27th, just days before her due date, she posted a video of herself and wrote, "I'm 7 days away from my due date, and this is currently my 2 moods. I feel huge, I'm sick and tired and want him out." India was ready, excited, and counting down the hours. Kayvon was counting down too, but his countdown, it involved 2 other men. His nephew, Robert Irvin, who was only 20 years old, and his friend Lamar Morris Suggs, 22 years old. The 3 of them allegedly formed a group chat where they discussed their plan. Make it make sense. How do you go from taking maternity pictures to planning this in a group chat? How does that even happen? She was scheduled to be induced in the early hours of March 4th, 2023. She'd arranged for someone to watch Zai, and everything was ready. Everything. That night, India went to sleep in her apartment on Hidden Meadows Drive in Coleraine Township, Ohio. But while she slept, they were making their move. According to the investigations, the door was left unlocked. At approximately 4:39 in the morning, disturbing sounds were heard from their home. Terry Kinamore, India's mother, received a concerning call that morning. Kayvon allegedly stayed in the apartment. He began acting like he was shocked, like this was a random burglary gone wrong. Playing his part perfectly, Terry rushed to the apartment, unable to process what she heard over the phone. When she arrived, the police were already there. The apartment showed signs of what appeared to be a burglary. Drawers opened, items scattered, everything staged to look like someone had broken in searching for valuables. But investigators noticed something off immediately. Something wasn't adding up. When the paramedics arrived, they did everything they could to save her. But India was pronounced gone. The police department immediately began processing the scene carefully, collecting evidence, interviewing neighbors, trying to piece together what happened. And Kayvon, he was still there playing the grieving boyfriend. Nobody suspected him. Why would they? He was the victim's partner, the father of her baby. He seemed just as shocked and heartbroken as everyone else. The performance continued. Just weeks before her passing, India had posted, "I'll carry you every second of your life and love you every second of mine," a promise to her unborn son that she never got the chance to keep, period. 2 weeks later, on March 18, 2023, Kayvon attended the funeral. Let me say that again. He attended the funeral. He stood beside Terry Kinamore, India's mother, as she wept. He cried and comforted her. Later that day, he posted, Baby, I'm hurting bad off this one. I love y'all. Friends and family flooded the post with condolences, heart emojis, and prayers, support for a man who appeared to be grieving. But it was all an act. Every tear, every word of comfort, every social media post, a performance designed to hide the truth. And for a while, it worked. Months passed, and the investigation continued, but there were no clear suspects and no arrests. Investigators were following leads that went nowhere, checking on known criminals in the area, trying to figure out who would target a pregnant woman in her own home. They had questions but no answers. Terry Kinamore had taken in her grandson, Zai, raising him while grieving her daughter. Meanwhile, Kayvon continued living his life. He went back to work at Bosch Automotive. He spent time with his other children. He posted on social media, maintaining the image of a grieving father, living his best life while India's family suffered. In May 2023, he updated his cover photo to the maternity shoot of him in India, like he cherished that memory and wanted nothing more than to meet that baby. People commented, sending love and telling him to stay strong, praising him for keeping her memory alive. Girl, the audacity. Then in February 2024, almost a year after India's passing, he posted a photo with the caption, "My Valentine forever." People commented, telling him to stay strong, and he's eating it all up, knowing what he did. But investigators were already building a case. See, detectives started pulling phone records. They looked at who was communicating with whom in the days and weeks leading up to March 4th, and they found the WhatsApp group chat with three men, Kayvon Warren, Robert Irvin, and Lamar Morris Suggs. They had discussed a plan, coordinated the timing, making sure everything was set. The messages had been deleted, but digital experts recovered what they thought they had erased. Conversations about making it look like a robbery, about the timing needing to be perfect because she was scheduled to be induced soon. They had it all planned out, every detail. Then there was the bereavement leave request. Documentation from Bosch Automotive showed that Kayvon had asked for time off before India was even gone, before she even knew anything was wrong. While she was still posting about her excitement, still preparing for the hospital, still counting down, Kayvon had already arranged time off to grieve her. According to the investigators, this was physical proof that he knew what was coming because he'd planned it. How do you explain that? Make it make sense. But building a case that could hold up in court took time. Every piece of evidence had to be verified, every message had to be authenticated, and every timeline had to be confirmed. You can't rush justice when you want it to stick. Prosecutors needed to prove not just that these three men had communicated, but that they'd conspired to commit the crime, that this was premeditated, calculated, and intentional, that Kayvon had orchestrated it, and that Robert and Lamar had carried it out. 2 years passed. 2 years of India's family waiting for justice, and Kayvon walking free and living his normal life. 2 whole years. Now, Lamar Morris Suggs was already in prison on unrelated charges. He'd been locked up since 2023. Knowing what Kayvon and Robert had gotten him into started weighing on him. The guilt was eating at him, and in August 2025, Lamar decided to talk. He confessed and provided more evidence, the WhatsApp chat logs, screenshots, messages that showed exactly how the plan had been formed, who said what and when. Lamar allegedly told investigators everything. How Kayvon had recruited him and Robert, how they'd waited in the neighborhood for hours, how Kayvon had given them the signal, and he left the door unlocked. And just like that, the case that had gone cold for over 2 years suddenly had everything prosecutors needed. Everything. On August 21st, 2025, the Coleraine Township Police Department made their move. Kayvon Warren was arrested and taken into custody, and so was Robert Irvin. Lamar Morris Suggs was already locked up, but now he faced new charges, 2 counts each. After more than 2 years of waiting, India's family finally had answers. The man they trusted, the man who seemed happy with their relationship and had taken maternity photos with India, the man who'd posted tributes and acted heartbroken, had reportedly orchestrated the entire thing. everything.
3 men are facing murder charges for killing 26-year-old India Kenmore and her unborn child. Thanks for joining us here at 5:30. I'm Ashley Kirkland.
And I'm Chris Jacobs. The 2023 shooting happened in Coleraine Township, and WLWT News 5's Danielle Dendak has been covering this case from the beginning. And Danielle, 2 of the men charged were arraigned today, and India's mother was also there.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Chris. She spoke and it was very emotional. She told the courtroom that her daughter was killed on the day she was set to get induced.
My name is Terry Kinamore. I'm India's mother.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Behind the glass sits a pain that can't be seen but heard. For Terry Kinamore, that heartbreak dates back to March 2023.
I got the phone call from my grandson to say my mommy has been shot.
26-year-old India Kenmore was pregnant.
Scheduled to be induced the same morning as the murder.
It would take almost 2.5 years for charges to come. 3 men, 20-year-old Robert Irving, 30-year-old Kayvon Warren, and 22-year-old Lamar Morris Suggs.
Conspiring to come up with this plan to kill Miss Kinamore and her unborn child.
Irving and Warren spent their Friday morning in front of a judge. Inside this courtroom, we learned the fatal family ties.
Mr. Warren was involved in a relationship with the victim. The victim was pregnant, and that at some point the evidence that has been uncovered was that he wanted her to terminate that pregnancy.
By the way, they don't say he's a shooter. They claim there's a conspiracy. They claim that Lamar Suggs is a shooter. Give him a high bond.
But this fierce mom had words for Warren.
I don't think he should see the light of day until this case is solved. That's what I would ask of this court.
On August 22nd, Kayvon and Robert appeared before a judge for their bond hearing. The courtroom was packed. Terry Kinamore stood up to speak and listen. What she said needs to be heard.
He was hiding up under his covers and he said, Nana, come. Somebody shot my mommy and somebody broke in our house. He said, I'm scared. I'm so scared. My mommy's screaming.
Assistant Prosecutor David Hickenlooper explained that this had been a long, complex investigation. The judge set bond at $300,000 each for Kayvon and Robert. Kayvon's defense attorney, Clyde Bennett, tried to argue for a lower amount. He pointed out that his client had a full-time job, no criminal history, and hadn't fled the city despite knowing he was under investigation for 2 years. But here's the thing, just because you didn't run doesn't mean you're not guilty. It just means you thought you'd gotten away with it. Lamar Morris Suggs hadn't appeared in court yet. He was still in state prison on those unrelated charges, but he'd been indicted on the same charges as the others. On August 28, 2025, Hamilton County prosecutor formally announced the indictments. 13 counts in total against the 3 men. 13 counts, let that sink in. Terry Kinamore visited where India rested, stating that she never gave up on the case. She said, I never gave up. There was a lot of people that just thought that this case would never be solved, and I have faith in God. I know that I can do anything. Now I am able to come back and tell her that the people that did this to her, they have been caught and justice will be served. A mother who refused to let her daughter's case go cold, who kept pushing, kept believing, kept fighting. That's what real strength looks like. She described Kayvon as someone she once thought was a nice, upstanding gentleman. She said, I thought that Kayvon was a nice, upstanding gentleman, and he turned out to be the complete opposite, a monster, because only a monster would do something like that. And you know what? She's right. Only a monster would look at a woman carrying his child and decide she needs to die. Only a monster would coordinate with 2 other people to make that happen. Only a monster would attend her funeral and comfort her mother while knowing he's the reason she's grieving.
India Kenmore's mother spoke to us from here at Spring Grove Cemetery, where her daughter and unborn grandchild are both buried. Terry Kinamore says she always knew justice would come, but wasn't sure how long it would take.
I never gave up. There was a lot of people that just thought that this case would never be solved. And I have faith in God. I know that God can do anything.
A grieving mother sits next to her daughter and unborn grandson's grave. In the beginning, Terry Kinamore says it was hard for her to visit. Now she says it feels a little bit lighter.
Now I'm able to come back and tell her that the people that did this to her, they have been caught and justice will be served.
Coleraine Township Police announced last week 3 people have been charged with the murder of India Kenmore and her unborn child, Robert Irvin, Lamar Morris Suggs, and Kayvon Warren.
I just don't know why someone would want to do something like that. Not to just one person, but 2 people.
Terry says Warren is the child's father. He and India had been in a relationship for a couple of years. The other 2 suspects, Terry says she had never met.
I thought that Kayvon was a nice, upstanding gentleman, and he turned out to be a complete opposite, a monster. Because only a monster would do something like this.
The shooting happened at an apartment complex on Hidden Meadows Drive, according to Coleraine police, but a motive is still unknown. Kinamore, Terry says, was due to deliver baby Kyron within hours of being killed.
She couldn't wait to have him and to meet him and hold him, and she never got that chance. He never got that chance to feel his mother's arms around him and to hear, "I love you."
Terry says Warren's lack of concern about the status of the investigation was always a red flag.
And to come and find out that you had something to do with it, that's a slap in the face. That's a slap in the face. You never really cared. You couldn't have cared.
Well, Terry says that her daughter was always willing to help someone. She described her as fun-spirited and funny, and she says that she misses her every single day. Meanwhile, both Irvin and Warren, they appeared in court on Friday. Their bonds set at $600,000. Suggs is in the Ohio Department of Corrections on separate charges.
India Kenmore deserved to meet her son. She deserved to watch both her boys grow up. She deserved to live the life she was building, one filled with love for her children and hope for their future. She deserved to see Zai become a big brother. She deserved to hold Kyron in her arms and tell him she loved him. She deserved all of that and more. The legal process continues as the trial approaches. India's family hopes that the justice system will hold accountable the 3 men responsible for the tragic incident, and we hope that too. Because if there's one thing this case shows us, it's that evil doesn't always look like what we expect. Sometimes it smiles for the camera, sometimes it posts on social media, sometimes it stands at a funeral and sheds tears. But the truth always comes out. It might take time, it might take years, but it comes out. And when it does, there's nowhere left to hide. I hope these stories help you recognize warning signs and encourage you to seek help or offer support before it's too late. Because domestic violence doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it's hidden behind closed doors. Sometimes it's disguised as love. And sometimes by the time you see it for what it really is, it's already too late. Pay attention to the signs. Listen to your gut. And if something feels wrong, don't ignore it. Don't brush it off. Don't make excuses for it. Because India trusted someone who didn't deserve that trust, and it cost her everything. I'll see you in the next episode of Unheard Cries TV. Thank you for watching.